Will Courtney Whitmore be able to save multiple generations of forgotten sidekicks from the twisted Childminder and her allies that want to keep them gone forever? Well, let's hop into the pages of Stargirl and the Lost Children, issue number 5, the penultimate issue of this series, and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up from where we last left off, Stargirl and the other assorted Golden Age sidekicks are continuing their assault on the Childminder's castle. They might have numbers on their side, but sadly they lack any and all team cohesion. The worst offenders by far, though, are actually Cherry Bomb and Salem the Witch Girl, who do as much fighting each other as they do fighting the Childminder's egg robot. Salem claims that she's so much more powerful than anyone else, being the former sidekick to Dr. Fate. Cherry Bomb fires back by saying that all that amazing cosmic power did was get her just as captured as everyone else, so why don't you simmer down now a little bit? Making matters worse are the junior Time Master Corky Baxter, who served his purpose as exposition machine in the last issue, and now he's mostly just sticking around to annoy Courtney and tell her that everything she's doing is wrong or too late. And you know what, with an attitude like that, I think I'm beginning to understand why Rip Hunter and Corky's own sister don't bother going to look for him every time he wanders off. Kid's a dud, I said it, a dud. One by one, all the different sidekicks begin to fall prey to the egg robots, who we see are programmed not to kill the kids but imprison them inside their shells, which makes sense. After all, Childminder wants to sell the kids off, and if any of them bite it, she's not going to get paid. Though, I mean, let's be honest, she already has a castle and an island home of her very own. What more could she possibly want? A gold turlet and a rocket car? Courtney tries her best to rally the troops that are left in this trying time by being vulnerable and opening up to them about her own problems, mainly that she lied to her parents before she left on this whole island adventure, and she hopes she makes it back so that she can actually apologize. You know, I gotta say, I really like moments like this because it reminds us that even though Stargirl is the most accomplished and professional hero here on the island right now, she's still very much a kid herself and dealing with kid problems. Now, back inside the castle, we once again meet up with Our Man 1 Million, the future android version of the classic JSA hero, who has been revealed to be the one actually buying the kids, though, as we learn in this issue, he's just a delivery boy for yet another mystery player. A person who he only refers to as his owner. Again, your guess is as good as mine. Maybe Perdegaton to tie this story in closer to the JSA story that's also going on right now. Furthermore, while Our Man wants to buy all the kids, he seems especially interested in the fate of the Boom, aka Judy Garrick, the Golden Age Flash's long-lost daughter, whose Speed Force powers allow her to open multiversal portals all her own. It's Emiko Queen who actually manages to talk Judy through using her Speed Force powers to phase through the prison walls like her father, the Flash, was known to do before her, and the fact that she was able to pull this incredibly difficult trick off on her first try communicates to me just how powerful this character is and just how important she might actually end up being in this new Jeff Johns Golden Age series. The Boom, which is actually short for Sonic Boom in case any of you out there were wondering, saves Red Arrow but also springs several more sidekicks from the prison cells, and oh boy did Jeff Johns save some doozies for the penultimate issue here. There's Sparky, the long-lost sidekick of the original Dan Garrett Blue Beetle, which, geez, I'm pretty sure this is actually his DC debut as well, because he's one of those characters who got his start over in Charlton. Secret, the ghostly teen hero and friend of Impulse, who's one of those characters who only got themselves forgotten very recently, and even Mr. Dunbar Dynamite, the old man who kicked off this whole quest to find Orphan Island, who, when Emiko discovers him once again, turns out he's transformed back into a kid as well. Oh sure, he may have lost his senior discount and the early bird special, but imagine all the dino nuggies he can now order off the kids menu without getting any weird looks. Emiko and her newly assembled team take the fight directly to the Childminder, and they actually start turning the tide of battle when Stargirl and the others show up to reinforce them. It's actually really nice to see Courtney and Emiko back together again, as they've been separated basically since issue 2. And both girls were kind of beating themselves up about the fate of the other. It's just kind of nice to see their friendship grow and evolve in this story. For a minute there, it actually looks like the heroes might finally have this one in the bag until Our Man 1 Million takes the field, his future android tech being way too much for the kids to handle. For some reason, Our Man also has a particular narc on for Red Arrow, saying that like all the other sidekicks, she too deserves to be forgotten, and it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close. And so that was Stargirl and the Lost Children issue number 5, and I can say that everything I've been enjoying about this series since issue 1 continues to be true here. I'll admit it's odd seeing Stargirl and the other sidekicks try and do the whole team building exercise thing right here in the penultimate issue. Feels like they probably should have done it the issue before this, but hey, they are kids and learning on the fly and biting off more than they can chew kinda makes a lot lot of sense for them. I also gotta wonder, too, if a bunch of these characters do actually make it back into circulation, how many writers are going to be tripping over themselves to try and write about these new sidekicks, especially considering that many of the heroes that mentor them haven't had books in decades upon decades. I don't know, maybe Jeff Johns just sees it as a bunch of shiny new, or in this case, shiny retro toys for his own personal box. I also don't know how I feel about the continuing hot potatoing of who exactly the villain is for this story. They built up the Childminder and a bunch of other stories, and yet here she was only really working for our man, who is himself only working for someone else. I mean, that's a small complaint, and they could still very much change my mind by the end of this with a super mind-blowing reveal of who the actual string puller is. Again, I threw Prodegaton's name into the hat on that one, but it could be anyone, especially considering that Johns might still actually be allowed to play with the Watchmen characters, maybe? One thing I undoubtedly loved is the continued focus and spotlighting of Emiko Queen. She's just such a fun character, and the friendship and relationship she's building with Courtney is so sweet and wholesome. She really is a fully formed co-star. I actually hope Johns continues to write her. I enjoy what he's doing with her, and I hope she continues to grow and change and evolve outside of Green Arrow and the Green Arrow family. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. There was a few pacing issues here and there, but they're not really big deal-breaking problems, and I am excited to see how this story ultimately shakes out.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cave Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.